It is 7:02 p.m. on November 12th, 2019, and we're going to open the regular board meeting. We are a couple minutes late tonight from audio-video problems, so we waited till we had those solved before we opened. Could you roll call, please?
Yep. Trustees Chris Samples?
Here.
John Talbot?
Here.
William Lustinger is absent. Gina Simpson? Here. Jen Christensen?
Here.
Jared Doan?
Here.
President Rick Worm?
Here.
Treasurer Brenda Onamany?
Here.
I Clerk Sandy Mazen here. Attorney David Silverman?
Here.
We do not have an engineer or a public works supervisor tonight.
Please rise and say the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Would you go over the items on the consent agenda, please?
Yep. Tonight for approval on the consent agenda, item number 1, the October 8th, 2019 regular board minutes. Item number 2, the October 1st, 2019 special meeting of the village board minutes. Number 3, the bills payable warrant list dated November 12th, 2019. And number 4, resolution number 19-53, a resolution approving and authorizing execution of engagement letter from DeLacy Consulting LLC for valuation of property.
At this time, does any board member wish to pull an item from the consent agenda for further discussion? I'll entertain a motion.
I move to place agenda items number 1, 2, 3, and 4 inclusively as consent agenda items. Further, I move that all items be considered together as a consent agenda.
Second.
Dina makes a motion to place agenda items 1, 2, 3, and 4 inclusively on the consent agenda. Jared seconds. Any discussion? Roll call.
Jen?
Yes.
Jared?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Dina?
Yes.
Chris?
Yes.
William is absent.
I like the enthusiastic guest down there. Second motion?
I move to adopt,
Oh, wait, that was 7:05.
sorry. I move to adopt items number 1, 2, 3, and 4 inclusively on the consent agenda in a single group pursuant to the omnibus vote procedure specified in the Illinois Municipal Code.
Second.
Dina makes a motion to adopt items 1, 2, 3, and 4 inclusively on the consent agenda. Jared seconds. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Jared?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Dina?
Yes.
Chris?
Yes.
William is absent. Jen?
Yes.
Are you copying them or mimicking? 7:06. All right. We don't have any approval of any items off the consent agenda. We'll move on to the officers. And under us, we have David doing the water bill drawing.
Oh, my word.
It's the residents who suffer.
That's not good.
Who's been elected, Sassy? 378 Red Tail Drive. I'll make sure I didn't get dyslexic on that. All right, so the other item on here is Resolution 19-54. It is about the agreement with the equestrian place that we agreed to grant money to. There is a, what'd you call it, a clawback?
Yes.
In the thing, that they don't stay open for a period of time, that they will have to pay back money based on how long they were actually open.
Yep.
Is there any, well, I guess we should, if we're gonna do this, we should do motion second and discussion.
Yes, you do need a motion, you do need a second, and then discussion.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution number 19-54, a resolution approving and authorizing execution of economic incentive agreement by and between the Village of Davis Junction and Judith Walter doing business as Alchemy Equestrian.
Second.
Dina makes a motion to approve resolution number 19-54. Jared seconds. Any discussion?
The payback if they don't stay in business long enough, or does bankruptcy protect them from having to pay that in the event of a bankruptcy and a failed business?
We would make the demand, but we would be subject to the bankruptcy proceedings anyway. We are an unsecured creditor under the terms of this agreement. So we would fall to the end of the list of creditors.
Because inevitably, if they don't stay in business, they either would just quit or file bankruptcy protection, so I...
That is definitely a possibility.
Thank you.
Anything further? Let's go to roll call.
John,
Yes.
Dina,
Yes.
Chris,
Yes.
William is absent, Jen,
Yes.
Jared.
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0. Move on to the clerk.
I do not have anything.
Treasurer,
In your packet, you'll see the treasurer's report for October. And also next week I won't be here because I'll be at the Treasurers Institute training next week.
Where's it at?
You gonna call in?
I am not going to call in. But if anybody needs me, I'm still available by my village cell phone.
does anybody have any questions on the treasurer's report?
I do not.
Anything further?
No?
All right. David,
Nothing.
community development and events.
I am in the middle of planning our community Christmas party. I have organizations that are gonna take hold again of activities and different things, and we will not be having the horse carriage rides this year due to scheduling conflicts. The party is, December 7th from 4 to 7, and we're gonna do the tree lighting again at 6 o'clock.
December 7th.
Yes,
Awesome.
Saturday, December 7th. I gotta make sure, I think I got that date right.
It's right.
Okay. I'm like, I got it written down. What else was I gonna say? December 5th, I'm going to be, chairing our community blood drive at the fire station again. That is, normally we do a 1 to 7 this year, and the hours are gonna be 3 to 7. So if you're available to come get blood that day, I'd appreciate it. That's all I have.
Will they have information to share with the public later
For,
for the blood drive?
yes, I just got my stuff there. I just got my packet.
We'll make room on on their calendar, it's getting pretty full.
And that is all I have.
All right. Do we have any emergency expenditures under finance?
We do not.
We'll move on to ordinance enforcement.
All right, well, I'm supposed to talk next week about it, but I'll put it out there now. When it comes to mowing violations and ordinances, and we had to have our guys mow the yard, I talked to Rick about it, possibly having a mowing company come and do it, so our guys can keep working on the stuff that they have, instead of stopping and going and taking care of that. And I talked to Fergie, and I talked to MGS, and the lady said, just give us a call the day before, and they can come out the next day. So all Fergie would have to do is just see if they mowed that, the day that they're supposed to come out, and say, yeah, it needs to be mowed, or no, it doesn't need to be mowed. Instead of having our guys take the time to go mow someone's yard, and we can have the company do it, and send on top of the fine and the mowing service bill.
So when you talk about it next week, will you have like rates? I mean, I don't know that they, will they have like
She said anywhere from $30 to $40, and then she said they really don't like the ditches. I said, well, if you gotta charge weed eating for the ditch, to get the ditch down, go ahead. She said, that's fine.
And who's this?
MGS, they're in the subdivision quite a bit.
Ginger and, what's his name?
I don't know, I talked to Ginger.
They live in Davis, well, the unincorporated, the part out there by the highway.
Yeah.
So this is something you want to do in spring, I'm assuming?
Yeah.
Obviously. I think we'd want to make sure, though, that we have an agreement that protects the village, and indemnity provisions, workers' compensation provisions, and all the rest. So as this moves forward, and if this is the direction the board wants to go with this, then let us know so that we can get you guys something to give to them to review.
All right. Would you guys wanna go forward on it?
You might, let me, just one more thing, I'm sorry. You might want to ask, the insurance carrier, whether they could extend coverage to them since they're operating, for the village on this.
As opposed to requiring them to have their own insurance?
Well,
like
I mean,
we do a
you should
construction
talk to
company?
your insurance anyway, because they might have some things that we may not consider that your carrier will want in any kind of agreement. But yes, we would have those types of provisions too, but we want to make sure that the village is fully protected as much as possible.
So we've got a couple months, find out that information and keep bringing it back.
Yeah, 'cause I know
See if we're gonna pursue it.
they're fully insured, and she was willing,
That's fine.
yeah.
I'd love to hear more about it, yeah.
That's what I.
Yeah, 'cause she's fully insured, so the company is, and she said she would be more than happy to do it, so.
I do have it on the agenda for next week, but something to think about too would possibly be bidding it out.
A what?
Bidding it out,
Bidding out to different mowing companies?
let them decide who's gonna be the
I
cheapest.
thought we were gonna pass along the cost.
What's the point of
We
being
can-
the cheapest?
No? Hold on.
They are
Okay.
reasonably cheapest. I've talked to a couple other, and they were the reasonable cheapest ones.
But by bidding it out, we can set forth the requirements in one lump sum and get the person who does have all the requirements that David needs as well. It's not just cost when you do a
Right.
bid, it's also coverage, it's how quick can you be here, reliability, it's a slew of things, not just the dollar amount, because we are passing along the dollar amount. However, there are two properties that are currently, that we will never see the dollars from,
Yeah.
ever. And so paying those people to continue to mow at a higher rate when we could get it cheaper elsewhere would not be beneficial to the village.
All things we need to consider as we do
Yep,
this.
but it is on the agenda for next week.
Anything further?
You should look into it, though.
Absolutely.
It's a good idea. Save us.
Well, I have. I mean, I talked to a couple different mowing companies and got prices, and they were the most reasonable ones out there, so. But that's it.
All right. Parks,
Nothing this evening.
streets?
No, that's a good question. I thought I saw on the bills payable that we had, one for street sweeping. Was that a recent one?
Yes,
When did they do that?
here.
October?
There was I had two sweepings on, here, it was in the bills, did you see that?
I'm sorry, I'm not really getting at that. I'm trying to see if there's one more, 'cause,
Yeah, I did look,
Okay.
and that was earlier in the year, like, it happened in May or June.
but we have one left.
No,
So,
They didn't.
we did three.
so I talked to Fergie and he said this morning about this with regard to the response to the Facebook post, and he said that there is one, but he doesn't know if we're going to use it because of weather, he doesn't know.
No, I understood that. I just didn't know if there, I thought when we, well, I can't even remember if I was on the board at the time, when they approved the street sweepings, they were only going to have 3 for the year. Am I, well, and that's what I was asking.
Yeah.
I thought we only approved 3, or the board approved 3, and there was already 3, and if that's the case, then are they done, or should we really expect it, weather, permitting? I guess I'm trying to just find out if there's actually gonna be another sweep or not.
So when I talked to him this morning, he was very uncertain because of the weather unreliability at this point.
But did we only approve 3 of those shares?
I thought that was what, the board agreed upon, is,
We did 64, and I kinda think we'd have to look at the minutes, actually.
I'd have to, it was the agreement, I don't have either, so.
But I do know, 'cause I was on filing, we already paid one earlier in the year.
is there a way that I can find out if we have any, truly, if we have any, I mean, we must have signed an
We'll
agreement,
have to
right?
look in the
Yes,
minutes.
you would have, yes, I can find that out for you and email you tomorrow.
Oh, that'd be great.
Yes, it's-
Thanks.
I
That
just-
way, if I get any
yeah.
questions on any, from any residents on possible sweepings, that we can answer
I don't
then.
have my laptop, so I can't.
No, it's no problem.
exactly.
So, if we can, then maybe we could even put it out on the website if there is going to be one or if we're complete for the year. I don't necessarily know if it's gonna matter, because it doesn't seem like the weather conditions are going to be, conducive to another sweep, but
Yeah.
you never know.
Yes, I'll look at the agreement.
All right, thank you, I appreciate that. That's all for the streets.
All right, utilities?
Several things. So, earlier this week, or maybe, it was the weekend or whatever, Matt did send, I'm gonna call them projections for the 5, 8, and 10 year that we asked for last week at the committee's meeting. So I forwarded them, Sandy got them, but I just asked that they be in the packet for the next committee meeting.
Already
So,
on the agenda.
Thank you so much, I appreciate it. And then, that way you guys can take a look at that. As a reminder for the community, just make sure that they know that the last day for yard waste pickup is November 27th. So that is the Wednesday prior to Thanksgiving, just in case anybody needs reference for that. Just feedback from our conversation for maybe a couple of people that watched the video from last week or listened to it. I did get a couple of texts in terms of feedback on rates. So one of the pieces of feedback I got was just raise the rate and be done with it instead of the year by year by year thing, which the point to that conversation was simply that if you do it in a tiered progression, then every single year everybody gets all worked up about everything. It's just like it's cyclical. So that was one piece of feedback I got. The other piece of feedback I got, and I have to read it because I know I will say it wrong if I don't, but I had gotten a text from another community member that was talking about, you know, recognizing that the rates are necessary to increase. They wanted to make sure that it shouldn't exceed the cost of living increase that Social Security recipients receive. So that being, you know, said too, this is just all feedback that people have been sharing with me. I don't know what Social Security increases are. I don't know what percentage they are every year. I don't know that we know that every year.
We do. Those are the COLAs
Okay,
that we talk about with regard to our employees.
Okay.
Same thing.
Okay, perfect.
And
So I was just thinking like cost of living. I didn't
Yeah.
know that Social Security did cost of living.
yeah, COLA number actually comes from Social Security.
Okay.
COLA
Yeah.
is cost of living adjustment.
Yeah, for the Social Security.
Yes, that is. I didn't know that. I mean, I knew COLA, but I didn't know that was Social
Yeah,
Security
that's
as
who-
well.
yeah.
Okay.
Yep, that's
So,
who defines.
And I'm not opposed to like looking at that. I know we have a lot of options that we can look at. I just need people to recognize too, if we stick consistently with not going more than that, I don't think we're ever going to be where we need to be in terms of what we need to take care of for the infrastructure for the water facilities. So, yeah, so those were just the only of everything last week. Those were the only two that I had gotten from our sharing that out there. I'm sure there are going to be a great number more, I'm hoping.
Yes.
Yeah, otherwise, the only thing I was confused about, and William's not here, but I will share what I was confused about, and I'll be very frank about it. A little confused by the comment last week in terms of this board needs to decide whether they want to raise taxes or increase water rates. So I'm a little confused by that comment in the respect that I think this board had already talked about not really wanting to do a lot of raising taxes. I thought that was established early on. So that was an odd comment to make, and without William being here to comment on it, I feel that that's a conversation for another day. But I do want to make everybody aware that, like, when that comment was brought up in front of the public as to the fact that it seemed as if this board was disjointed and not knowing whether we wanted to increase the rates or raise taxes, I believe that was a little bit, I was not thrilled, to say the least, because I believe we already established we didn't want to raise taxes, and we've talked about 4 years. I've been on, I think this is my third year, don't know. Doesn't matter. Every single year since probably the first day I was here, people have talked about we've got to get these rates up, and recognizing very much it's not going to be a popular vote by any means, any way, shape, or form we do this, it's not going to be good. But it has to be done, and we've talked about it. I know the boards prior to me talked about it, and we've talked about it, and if we don't move forward, we're going to still be talking about it again next year at this time. And at that point in time, then I will no longer be talking about it, because everybody else can figure out how to do it, because there's been enough time and hours invested in doing all of this. So the comment that was made about we need to decide what we need to do, I thought we already had. Otherwise, all of this and the financial pieces that put this together, and all of the time that Brett has spent on this, myself, Sandy's been involved, I'm a little confused by that. So if my response to that comment next week, and I'll bring it up again next week, there's some confusion there, because that was an odd comment for that to be saved for the public meeting, in my opinion. So that's kind of where I'm at on that one. But we'll talk about it more. Take a look at the rates again. Take a look at the tiers. I think you guys have in your wastewater reports in terms of the expenses and the revenues, only I have a big sheet so I can read it better. Take a look at all of that stuff. before coming so we can really talk about it and talk about some meat of what we gotta do here, as opposed to, we are now December 12th, right? December 12th? I mean, November 12th, thank you. Well, it's gonna be there before, yeah.
It'll be
So,
quick.
not that you're saying that, right. But we're November 12th, and then the idea, I think Sandy had asked, last week about like when we were thinking about moving forward with something like this, and we really do need to have this decision made by the end of the year. We really do. And, so I mean, I know it's not, like Rick said, it's not just me, it's all of us, but when we come together as a board and then we have a conversation about it multiple times, and then we make a comment publicly about this board needs to decide whether or not we want to raise taxes or raise water rates, it really doesn't sound like we're working as a board together. And I really do have a problem with that when we don't work like a team, so.
Well,
But,
People can
hold on a
change their
second.
Go ahead.
mind.
But people have different opinions.
Totally agreed.
All right.
But I think those opinions should all be shared during committee meetings and everything else, not just wait for the day that we have the public here. I think that's just in all fairness, out of respect for the team that's putting a lot of work into this. I think out of respect for everyone, I think that is something, totally respect different opinions. I have no issue, because there's gonna be some people that absolutely don't wanna raise rates at all, and I respect that. But when you save that comment or that thought process for the only time that's been discussed, to save it for the first time that we have public here, which I know there weren't a lot, by all means, we did not have a of public here.
Hey, that's twice as many as we normally
I
do.
know, and, it was record-breaking, and I was proud of that, but at the same time, I don't think that's the first time you share that with the committee. I think you share that during the conversations building up to that, so that way you can have those discussions. And, it's kind of one of those things where you have the discussions as a committee, but then you move forward as a whole, and I think that's okay, too.
I want to reiterate what I said last week, is that the reason we haven't raised rates in the past, and it's gotten to the point that it's at now, is because it's not politically expedient. It's one of the harder things to do. It's hard to, to justify, to go out to people and tell them why we have to raise the rates. Again, you've put a lot of effort and time into this, not just you, but the whole team.
Everybody, yeah.
Put a lot of time and effort into coming up with this and why we need to do it. I think most of the public will understand. We're gonna have the ones that won't. They will never understand why we're building them more as long as the landfill's there. But as long as I've been on this board, we've been bringing the rates up slowly, and then it just stopped. And it was because it was not politically expedient. They felt, I don't know, but I'd say they felt that was gonna be the end of their time on the board if they raised the rates.
And I understand that, and
it very
I
well could
absolutely know
happen.
that will be, and I'm okay with that, too.
Absolutely.
And I get that, and so I guess this is also, I hate to say that, it's the right year to do it. So, at the same time, the other piece that I think is important that Matt said, that's been kind of sticking with me a little bit, that I had never thought about it in this way, and we can talk more about it next week, but he made the comment about we have to determine as a board what's palatable for our community, which made me start to think as well as, so, and William is right in the respect that I have not made a recommendation as to what rates to do. I've made a recommendation in terms of tiering it, and that's what I think we should do, although that other person, community member that talked to me about just doing it one shot, is certainly make it easier on the board as a whole, not to have to go through the political process every single year to do this over the next 6 years, or 5 years, or 8 years, or 10 years, or whatever that is. There's some logic in that. But anyway, when Matt said we have to determine what's palatable for us, so when we move forward, we talked about the rates in terms of what's going to completely take care of the infrastructure and what we need to do, but at the same time, maybe we don't need to go that far. I don't know, that's just something everybody needs to consider. Matt said that, and I thought about that, and that's a valid point. When I'm looking at the rates, and I was thinking, I think it was Tracy that said it last week when he was here. He said, if you go all the way to the full amount, that's gonna kill us. Well, maybe that's not always necessary. Maybe we don't have to go to the extreme. Maybe there's a happy medium, and I hadn't really thought about that. So, just something to think about. Whether maybe we don't go all the way.
That's why we asked for input.
Yeah, and so I got two people to give feedback, which was great, and I was really happy that they texted it. It's so nice, they texted it, I got the information, I can share that, it's wonderful. It wasn't like a argument or anything like that, which was really nice, but I did want to share that, and in all fairness too, I will share that with William as well, because I know he's not here, but I do want to let him know that that was a concern, so that's it. I think that's all I have.
Excellent. We have no public. Anybody have anything on economic development? I can't get the mouse over there. There it is. Nope. We have no public. Entertain a motion to go into closed session.
Pause.
Yep.
I don't think we need 2C5. I only think we need 2C11.
Yeah,
2C5
I think we've briefed you on that before.
So
Mhm.
just 2C11?
Just 2C11.
Alrighty. I'll make a motion to go into closed session, 2C11, litigation when an action against, affecting, or on behalf of the particular body, public body, has been filed and is pending before a court or administrative tribunal, or when the public body finds that an action is probable or imminent, in which case the basis for finding shall be recorded and entered into the minutes of the closed meeting.
Second.
Dina makes a motion to go into closed session under section 2C11. Boy, the tongue and lips aren't working together tonight. Jared seconds. Any discussion? All in favor?
Nope.
A roll call? All in favor to come out?
Yes. Chris?
Yes.
Williams absent. Jen?
Yes.
Jared?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
7:29. All right, we'll entertain a motion to reconvene.
Motion to reconvene open session.
Second.
John makes a motion to reconvene open session. Jen seconds. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We have reconvened open session at 7:48. There is no action on closed session items. Does anybody from the board have anything further?
No.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
John makes a motion to adjourn. Jen seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Took that from me, didn't you?
Oh,
You are adjourned at 7:48.